So we had another game at home. This is like an 8-game homestand where you win this game, you at least go 5-3 on this homestand. Lose it, you go 4-4, 500 ball at home. Not this time in the season. Not a good thing to do. Playing Orlando, which is not that they're a bad team, they're a playoff team, and but those are types of games that you want to see a team like the Lakers win. Throughout the game, you're kind of handling your business. You're up in the third quarter. Everything's going pretty well. Towards the end of that third, Paulo started taking over. They gave up some cheap baskets that I thought were just like, you got to be better on defense. And they gave up those plays. And then it kind of pulled over into the fourth quarter. Obviously lost the lead, got it back, lost it again, and then eventually lost the game. So, Eric, what were your thoughts on just how everything kind of unfolded, and especially the end of the game?
So the Lakers went 5-3 on the road trip, and so if you go 5-3, 4-4 on a road trip, it's definitely acceptable. But when you go 4-4 on a homestand, that is not good at all. And so Lakers are 16-12 at home this year, and for whatever reason, it seems like last year was a little bit of an opposite, where they were pretty good at home and not as good on the road. And it's totally like a flip flop this season. It happens sometimes. So that's like the first thing. Just got to get a lot better at home. And second thing, it kind of reminded me of a Orlando game last year where they kind of blew it at the end and lost at basically the last couple of seconds. I think it was Wagner. Was it Wagner?
Yeah, Mo or
Mo, the other Wagner, the one that wasn't playing. Vaughn. So that takes me to my next point is Orlando is a decent team, but they're injured and they're not, they weren't playing that well. And so Lakers, it wasn't like a lack of fight or anything like that. I mean, they were up practically the whole game. It was definitely different than against Boston, but they just, as you mentioned, like couldn't collect stops and couldn't get that key rebound down the stretch. And that's what ultimately lost them the game. I know it came down to the last second shot that there's been a lot of talk up and chatter about that, which we might get into in a second here. But it was like after that Boston game, the last thing you needed was another loss. You had to go 5-3 in that homestand. I mean, we talked about it. It's going to be very challenging for this team to compete for a championship or the finals, but we can kind of hang our hat on, like, let's like stay out of this play-in and let's, get a home court advantage of the first round, right? Get maybe a top 4, if not 5 seed. And games like last night, we might be looking at that when it's towards the end of the year. And it's like, man, they missed the 4th seed or the 3rd seed by 1 game. And so, it was a tough one for sure.
Yeah, these are the games that matter so much, where it's like, not that it's a guarantee that you're going to win, but just got to win these games at home. Knowing that you have, you go into at Phoenix and you go at Golden State, you're going to play at Denver, right? So there's games that are going to be harder, right? You would think on the schedule, but you got to win these games at home. And when you go look at the last play, I know obviously that all the talk today, all throughout sports media, things like that. But my question is, Luka, he takes how many 25 to 28 footers game? A lot. He got the ball in perfect position, one dribble to his left, which he loves to go to his left, had a wide open shot, passed on that, and then picked up the ball, and then it was forced to pass because pretty much they converged onto him, right? So, one, he was I think 2 for 10 at the time at the 3-point line. So was he having a little bit of confidence issue?
Yeah.
I would like to say no, because he's usually a shooter. He's going to shoot all the time. So I think it's not a big issue. One stat that I saw was in clutch time, essentially, I think, and I don't know how many games it was, but Luka hasn't taken a shot, right, within 90 seconds of the last part of the game to win a game or anything like that. It's been LeBron, it's been Austin Reaves, there's been Rui even make a couple of jumpers and things like that. So that was kind of interesting to see that. I don't know if he's deferring to his teammates or just kind of playing that role, but when you look at the killer Luka, him against Gobert, him against the Clippers, it's like who you want to have the ball in the last second. And we've talked about this for years with LeBron.
Yeah.
He's a clutch player, but he's not necessarily somebody I want taking the last shot, especially when it's a fadeaway three with somebody on you, right? That's just not the possession that you want. So I thought Luka, whether or not he thought he had too much time, because that might have been one thing. There's about 7 seconds, caught the ball and basically could have taken it like right at that 1 second. But it doesn't matter. You are down. Doesn't matter. You're down by points. You have to shoot. That way you get foul if you miss it anyway. So I won't buy that argument. So what are your thoughts on like him just passing on that opportunity?
I think first off, it's obviously a completely different NBA now, and it does make sense. Like, in the past, it'd be like, come on, like you get killed, like you don't need a 3-pointer, you're down 1, or even you're down 2, right? You could just tie it up. But in theory, a uncontested 3 is a better shot, most likely, than a maybe contested 2. Especially when you're not tied, right? It's win or lose. So that's kind of like the first thought. So I'm sure like there's a lot of like talks like, oh, you didn't need 3. Yes. But in today's NBA, like that shot that he had for a split sec there is actually might be better than just driving in that length of Orlando, kind of taking over. And so that's the first thought. Second thought, yeah, he was not having a good shooting night. He had 15 assists, so was like playmaking on his mind a little bit more tonight. Is that kind of what drove that? And it is interesting, and didn't really think about it. Didn't realize that he hasn't really had like with the Lakers, at least like a kind of like a clutch. I mean, he's been clutch. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's been amazing, but offensively, but he hasn't had like a big shot, like with a couple seconds left to win. I remember against Indiana last year, he took one, but he missed it. And then LeBron got that tip in. That's probably the last time that I recall him taking a shot, but also Lakers are in a lot of blowouts too. So I guess there's a little bit of that, just not, I mean, he should be used to it. He's been in some high pressure situations, but I'm going to have to just chalk it up to just a little bit of a mental error. Like maybe was worried about missing it, being 2 for 10, maybe worrying about, oh man, am I too far? And that's what he said in the presser afterwards. Yeah. He thought he was a little bit too far, but I mean, we all know that he takes shots from there all the time. And so, yeah, I think once he passed it off, there was no chance of anything other than maybe if there was another half a second left, Ayton would have scored there at the end, with that tip in that he had, but it was a little too late.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, it should have never came down to this.
Yeah, right? That's the thing.
We could talk all we want about the last second and whether or not he should have shot it, they missed, yada yada.
Yeah,
it should never come down to that. If Austin Reaves would have boxed out, they would have got a rebound on that possession before, where he got tipped to Wendell Carter, where he had a wide open layup, essentially. So they have to be better. They can't have these mental lapses on defense. They had a couple of mental lapses on Bane, where he's just draining the 3. LeBron is sagging on him. There's little plays like that just throughout the fourth quarter that just caused this collapse in this team, right? And so that's why it's like when you think, can this team do anything in the playoffs? I honestly, if you chalk it up right now and you told me they're a first round team, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you got to show me more consistency on defense in order to move on in the playoffs. I just don't think they're gonna. You want to say their offense and their players that they have will be able to score, but the stat that I sent you earlier, Eric, they're Luka and LeBron are a minus 82 right now on the court together with over 750 minutes. They, with that lineup together, just them two on the floor, they are a bottom 5 offensive team.
Yeah.
Right. So I pose this question to you because I was thinking, what could they do to really shake up this team? And it's maybe something we talked about a little bit before, but one of these 3 players will likely need to come off the bench. And we know it's not going to be Luka.
Yeah.
And we likely know it's not going to be LeBron. But I think if JJ Redick was trying to make a decision on this team, I think him having to tackle Austin Reaves for the rest of the season, of him coming off the bench, I think that would benefit this team tremendously. I just think they need more firepower coming off the bench. I think they need to stagger these lineups a little better, so that will help with rotations between LeBron and Luka. So they would start off in the beginning of the game, but then they wouldn't be in together as much during those parts, because I think it's just too redundant of players. I mean, LeBron and Luka are essentially the same type of player.
Yeah.
They got to have the ball in their hand. They can always get the wide open player that's open, passing the ball. They rebound the ball and roll, and they score really well, right? And Austin Reaves is like a mini version of that. So if you have three of them on the court, I don't necessarily know if it's going to work. We have a sample size that doesn't look good right now, and so I think at this point, JJ has to do something to shake this up.
Yeah, like Brian Windhorst, you guys probably maybe saw him all over all these different programs today, and he was pointing out that they're like looking at analytically speaking, and then obviously there's a lot of factors about in terms of like who you played against and whatnot, but they looked at like how many like points per 100 possessions versus their opponents. So that's going to obviously, spill into just multiple games. And so the difference of Luka and Austin Reaves versus the other three, it is a 20-point difference.
Having Luka and Austin together versus
only them for 100 possessions per 100 possessions.
It's high
versus the other three. Now, is there a high volume of those three? No, right? But they did play together last year in spurts, right? And we almost got to stop, not stop, but it's like we're waiting for them to have this like magical chemistry that's going to happen. And I just don't think it's going to. And yes, I agree. We talked about Austin Reaves being a right-handed Manu Ginobili. Why not kind of interchannel Manu, and be off the bench, right, for just half a season? And I get it. There's like probably I don't know if there's a kind of contract. Obviously, he's a free agent perhaps coming up. Is there a little bit of that? I think he's set in stone on what he's going to be able to get. So I don't think it should be that.
I don't think that's going to affect him. Like, he's going to play 30 plus minutes. It's not like he's going to play
less
minutes. It's just where his minutes are. And if you look at how he came back from the calf injury and he was coming off the bench, they were much better as a team just during that time. They were, able to win some more games during that short little sample size of him coming off the bench before the All-Star break, right? So I think I would be hard-pressed to not make a change at this point. Like, I think they have to shake it up a little bit. I think they're 11 and 12 the last 23 games. So they're playing that 500 ball, and things are just not where they need to be. And there's not that many games to go, right? We're down to 25, I believe. So they have to find something that will work. And I think something like that will be a huge difference.
Yeah, and just side note too, not they were just kind of piling on LeBron. There's also stats per 100 possessions that if it's just LeBron with like four other guys, it's actually substantially better versus the three again. So that just all signs point to that. Now, having Reaves off the bench, it's kind of a Band-Aid, right? And it's Band-Aid for this year, which is if they're serious about contending. And hey, you never know, like there's teams that are just not the healthiest right now. And so you truly never know. It would probably be him coming off the bench. Obviously, those three will be in a game, the last 5-6 minutes of a game, right? And so there's still going to have to be a little bit of cohesion there. However, I would, in my opinion, like the last 2 or 3 minutes of a game, you could play a little bit more ISO ball, right? It's not as organized those during that crunch time. It's like we need a flat out stud just to take over. Like that's where maybe Luka takes over, for example. And so I don't, not that to say it's not that important, but I think it's like if there was a time to play that ball, it's usually the last couple of minutes of a game.
Yeah, yeah, that makes more sense to me. And yeah, you're gonna have your stars in at the end, but I just think that just
Need
spreads it
something,
out a
right?
little bit more, changes it up a little bit. I mean, Austin's still gonna come in and get you 20 something off the bench. Um, we'll see. We'll see if they make any drastic changes, but I just don't think they can keep putting out the same lineup and expect any changes, right? Like I think there's got to
Insanity,
be
right?
some sort of change, um, regardless of hurting feelings, right? There's got to be a talk
Yeah.
to a meeting they have where, hey, we just play better together in this type of role where we stagger it a little bit better. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
and hopefully you wouldn't see it as like a demotion or anything. It's just obvious, right? Like it's never gonna happen. I'm not saying it should happen, but like I feel like we talked about LeBron and the other four.
Yeah,
Like I think like somebody like LeBron, right, running and gunning with the bench mob that Lakers don't have, it would make sense. But that's obviously not going to happen, and it's not going to be damn. Obviously, it's not going to be Luca. So Reeves is the option, and I think
yeah,
he could flourish, right? And I would imagine like because LeBron is he typically like the first sub, like about 6 minutes
yeah.
into the
He's
game.
usually out at 6 minutes, so that's what I'm saying. It
So
would be
that's
just the
Reeves
6 minutes
come in.
together, and then they would come in with Austin. Then Luca would come in with LeBron. For LeBron would come in for Luca, and then they really wouldn't play all together in that type of role that much, right? All
End
three,
of end
but
of
you would just
halves,
have them kind of
basically.
interact, yeah, and towards the end of the half and the end of the fourth quarter. So I think
Yeah.
that's how you spread it out more, right? Because right now it seems like Austin's kind of like what do you have? Did he have zero in the first half? Last night I
Must
think
have
he
had a,
had.
he had a good he
He
had a
didn't
good
have that
second
many,
half,
but
right?
then he had a really good second half. So I think the flow, and then Austin can come kill these second unit dudes right when he comes
Yeah.
in. So I just think like that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, the reality is Lakers are 11-4 without LeBron to start the season, right? That was Luca and AR and Luca together had this like flow of how they played, and it was those two, a 1B, and right, they were averaging a lot. Austin Reaves was averaging a lot. And I'm not saying that obviously having three together is a bad thing or it's a problem, but there's just a flow of the game that is different when it's Luca and AR versus Luca, AR, and LeBron.
Yeah, I mean, Luca fell on their lap right last year, and it wasn't. You figured it was going to be a good problem to have, but they just haven't had. They had one off season, and they couldn't really do much with those two to really change much. It is what it is. It's who they have. This is the team that they have, obviously the rest of the year, and so. Yeah, if the Lakers are not really hell bent on like punting on the season, and I think like I don't think they are. I mean, they are, but they aren't, right? I mean, the guys
Yeah.
that are out there, the guys that are coaching, they're going to try to win games, right? But yeah, that would be interesting. Now, question before moving on, I guess, but who takes that slot in your mind? If
Yeah,
right,
that's the hard one. I mean,
probably
obviously
only
Marcus
two
Smart
options, really.
is in the starting lineup right now, and then it'd likely be like a Rui. Um, unless you're
Probably have to
like
go with Rui, right? Maybe I want to do Laravia because then
probably
that
you could go Laravia, so then you have Marcus Smart and Laravia, LeBron, Luca. Yeah, and then you could have Rui and AR coming off the bench. I think that gives you a little bit more firepower. And Laravia has been used to kind of starting a little bit too, so it's not like it's foreign for him. I think that gives you just a little bit more defense to start the game, right? A little
yeah.
more firepower coming off the bench, and then you kind of intertwine those lineups and end up with some of those three together at some point of the game.
Yeah, I think if they were to just say, for example, start that tomorrow, I think you have enough games to see how it is with Rui starting
Yeah,
or Laravia. And I think those are the
Laravia,
only two real options, right?
yeah,
And so kind of leaning towards Rui a little bit just because like now, like Rui, we put him on the bench so we can have something kind of on the bench, but now we have
yeah,
Reeves,
yeah,
so you can kind of slide him back. Um, but I think there's enough time to kind of test the waters a little bit with both.
for sure.
And so yeah, we'll kind of have to see. On a side note, which we kind of talked about. So Luke Kennard, like I think he's had like what six or 7 games with the Lakers. He's had like 12 3-point attempts. So
was he?
It's just total side note, which is like he just he's just not a volume shooter, and he's just not going to be. Not. And if he was, we probably wouldn't have had him now, because he probably would be, like a much more sought out player, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I just thought of him because we were thinking about bench guys, and so
yeah.
I mean, he hasn't done it his first 7-8 years. I wouldn't imagine it's not going to all of a sudden happen.
But I like his production. I think he's been consistent with the Lakers, and just that he's just
not a bad pickup,
volume shooter. But I do think the Lakers got to change up. They can't just keep throwing out this team and expecting it to turn into something when it's not.
Yeah, he went, by the way, Luke Kennard last night, 0 for 0 from the 3-point line. So there you have it.
Yeah, didn't take it through.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's what we got him for.
Exactly. Shooter. He is lights out. I mean, not a whole ton of minutes, 15, but for me, it's like I want like 5 3-pointers in that 15 minutes you're out there, right? But
exactly.
It's obviously not going to happen. So yeah, well, we'll see if the Lakers do something just like different, right? Something kind of like that, and I think that might be their only hope, but we'll see. And it doesn't mean that they're going to all of a sudden become a championship contender, but it could change things for sure.